What is up, everybody? Welcome to League Unlock. Eric and Mark hanging out with you guys today as week one of the LCK rolls on, and you've got the heroes of spring for about 8 weeks. Griffin making their summer debut. Everyone obviously riding low on this team after getting 3-0'd by SKT, but they're looking to start summer off with a bang, just like they did in spring.
Yeah, now this has been 2 times now that we've had quite the long stretch of Griffin being a dominant team here in the LCK and then missing out on their ticket to some type of international event. Of course, Worlds last year, just recently MSI. Now let's get into summer and see what the Griffin boys have for us because, man, it's been too long without seeing this team play. A real treat to watch.
Their first match was against Afreeca, and you know, Afreeca, the Freaks did take them down during that losing streak to close out spring. Afreeca looking to join the ranks of KT and Gen G, and actually starting summer off in a good way. And game one, you got what everyone loves to see now, and is apparently super meta, is the Lux and the Camille mid.
Yeah, this Camille mid has certainly come through. I think there's been a kind of an issue here where a colleague has not seemed so powerful anymore, and it seems that the Camille mid comes through, brings that mobility, brings that CC, and brings that true damage to the kit, and it is looking like a good mid pick right now.
And it was UCal who got the start. We know all the substitutions and roster swaps that went on with Afreeca in spring. Happy to see UCal getting the start in their first game. And around this Baron fight, I hope you like tomfoolery and a bit of fiesta, because that is exactly what this series had. The Dragon, or the Baron, does go to Tarzan, but the fight goes the way of Afreeca.
Oh, absolutely. The fight ends up going fully in the favor of Afreeca's looking for the cleanup. But wait a minute. Wait a minute.
Viper? Oh.
Here it comes.
Keith?
Does he land it? Does he land it?
Dodge?
Oh.
Run straight? Okay.
American Sniper. That's looking pretty good right there. Picking up the kill. Viper getting fed.
Didn't you watch Battle of the Bastards in Game of Thrones? You gotta zigzag. Don't run straight. Keen goes down. Viper had some insane ultis on the Kaisa in this game. This one maybe wasn't quite insane for the right reasons, as Aiming grabs a triple kill on the Xayah before he finally goes down. And okay, Afreeca kind of back into this game.
Yeah, Afreeca did find their fight here. This is a little bit of a case, of course, of Griffin overextending, looking for too much there, but it is going to obviously swing back here in the favor of Griffin, looking for their fight at the Baron pit.
This time, Afreeca does grab the Baron, but again, it's the rest of Griffin who just completely clean up the fight. 2 huge Baron fights that completely decide this game. 2 members of Griffin still alive, and yes, one of them is Viper, so they're going to be able to push down a lot of turrets. Here comes the Nautilus to stop them from ending the game. Tarzan and Viper say, we're just going to pretend that you don't exist because you're Nautilus, and Viper even gets the style stopwatch at the end.
Beautiful end there for that one. That one is a really nice victory for Griffin. Overall, pretty solid. Yes, there were some mistakes for sure, but we are moving on here. 1-0 for Griffin already in the series.
And we go on to game 2. You got Sivir for Viper, which is something we don't see out of him super often. Aiming gets the Bane, and the biggest surprise is no roster changes for Afreeca, even though they lost the game. Last year, they would have changed 4 players.
Yeah, we would have been seeing that going on early in the spring split, getting all those changes out here. But nope, sticking with the roster, and it starts to pay off here for Afreeca Freak specifically. Giving to give the shout outs to my boy UCal, finding the way to pop off on the Silas in this one.
Yeah, they had an incredible start, 7-0 start to this game. It's not until this fight where Sennen is just kind of hanging out and gets completely blown up. Big gold deficit here, but Griffin still finds what looks to be a favorable fight for them. The Realm Warp comes in for Chovy, and he's just stalling everybody. But look at Aiming on the Vayne. It's time to clean up this fight.
Yeah, time to clean up the fight. And I mean,
they're all so low.
And at the whole time, it doesn't even matter because what's going on? Keen, where are you?
Where's the TP?
You gotta be there, Jace. Come on, I know you're picking up something for the team there, but that was a perfect opportunity for Keen to just come running right through and clean everything up.
So the big lead for Afreeca, they get 3 inhibs down. It took them 10 plus minutes, 5 attempts to break this base open. They had to get a double Elder after 40 minutes, so that's doubly stacked up, lasting over 4 minutes, and a Baron buff this is foolproof, right? How can you lose with this? Aiming flashes in.
You can't. There's no way you're going to be able to lose with this one. At this point, you can feel that type of confidence to do the flash in there, knowing that you've got all that power behind you. You have to be able to get it done here. Afreeca Freaks looking to close this one out.
I mean, they had such a terrible siege comp, and Viper was an absolute raid boss. He was doing some solo raiding, PvE style. He had, over 100 more CS than you would have 10 a minute. Just an absolute wave clear bot. But we're going to game 3. Afreeca almost blow that one, but they're feeling happy that they get to go into a third game, and then they draft this insane triple flex comp with the Yasuo, Vladimir, Irelia, and level 1 Yasuo doesn't have wind wall.
No, Yasuo does not have that wind wall level 1, and hey, it is early advantage going the way of Griffin there, and that sets up that lane to be real nasty in this one.
And then right after that, there was plenty of action here. This is the LCK we're watching, right? I just want to confirm that we're watching Korean League of Legends because Dread on the Lee Sin. First, you have the flash in place, which does absolutely nothing. And then this second Q that he follows, that is too deep, man. That's too deep. You give the double buffs over to Viper as well. He had a 300 gold bounty at about 3 minutes.
Yikes, that is not the guy, I tell you what, on Griffin that you want to be giving this over to. You, of course, got the skill in the jungle with Tarzan, and Chovy can do massive damage to that mid lane. But man, the engine that makes things go sometimes here for this team absolutely is Viper, and man, is he off to an early start.
And it's also nice to see UCal playing to the level that we expected him to on this Afreeca Freaks lineup. He grabs a triple kill there, and this 2v2, things started getting out of hand very quickly for the Freaks. Just pretty poor communication, I'm gonna say, just overextending too deep, and it was always Sword who TP'd first, and Keen would TP and just kind of watch things happen.
And this is really strange for most of us here, is that obviously and what you've expected from the last year or so of watching Keen play is he is one of the best top laners in the world, let alone the LCK region. But this
this
was a very poor performance from him, and this is one where, hey, you look at the results and you look at the performances of the other members on Afreeca Freaks here, just not getting it done.
Yeah, him and Dread in particular in game 3 were, I don't know what.
A lot of missed skill shots.
Yeah, a lot of flash Qs from Dread that did not go so well, and a lot of 1v4s from Keen that did not go so well. Griffin just completely snowballed this one out of control pretty quickly. This is the games we came to expect an early spring split from them. But what a series. Definitely not expecting it to play out like that for the first one of the season, or the split for both of these squads. But Griffin take it 2-1. And Viper, he didn't get MVP in the last game, but he had an incredible series.
Yeah, I think he deserves the series MVP for sure for me in this one. But when you look at this match as a whole and you think about what's going on with Griffin, what's going on with the Afreeca Freaks, the main takeaway really here is, yes, Griffin do look relatively solid, some of the positives that you had been seeing from spring, but there is still a weakness to them, and we are seeing, hey, they haven't really tuned all the way back up to that world beater level that we know them to be playing at.
Lots of positives for the Freaks as well, especially UCal playing at a higher level. Keep this lineup and help it develop. The other game in the LCK was Hanwha versus Sandbox, a couple of, I want to say, fringe playoff teams, or teams that are hoping to get one of those spots, and kind of the forgotten teams in the LCK that we've seen over, I mean, Sandbox has only been there for one split, but maybe not the biggest fan bases for either of these squads, but early on, it was Sandbox who, as we know, completely destroyed expectations in spring, completely dominating around the Dragon Pit.
Oh yeah, it was early on. It looked like it was going to go the way of Hanwha Life, getting in there early, but hey, turning it around was the Sandbox crew, especially you going with On, Fleek, and Dove there, finding their way to get those kills. And look at this one here, just saying, hey, I don't need to be in the Baron Pit. I'm just going to take care of these three guys that are back here and kill them all, no problem.
Yeah, it seemed to work out pretty well for them. A triple kill for the Lee Sin there for On Fleek. And by the way, it was Muujin who actually started in this game one, which is very surprising considering all the, controversy and fines that he got for some just absolutely ridiculous comments that he made.
Certainly not the choice that I was expecting heading into this one.
I didn't think he'd play again on this squad.
It certainly is a surprise there, but you can tell early in this one, it didn't matter who was playing here for Hanwha Life. It was Sandbox pushing on through early on in this matchup here. But hey, it's time, and it's time for Sandbox to keep cleaning it on up.
Yeah, this series was pretty quick and pretty favorable. I mean, there was a bit of a contention in game 1, but game 2 it was all Sandbox. Clean win for them. Hanwha looked a little bit out of sorts, and again, it's the solo laners for Sandbox. Summit in particular looked great in both of those games, and he's really making a name for himself as one of the top 3 top laners in the LCK.
Right, and that's kind of the thing about Sandbox, is that you have been talking a little bit more or less about On Fleek and Dove's performance here this split and how things have been going this year. But yes, Summit really did deliver a strong performance there, really did demand the attention of the opponent in this matchup.
Another sub who goes to starter and really thrives in that role alongside guys like Rascal and Cuz. Excited to see more from Sandbox in the summer split. Coming up after the break, we got some LPL action to go through, and Xiaohu looks reinvigorated to start 2019 summer. Hello friends, welcome back. It is League Unlock. Eric and Mark with you guys as we rip through a little bit of LPL action from week 2, because yes, they're a week ahead of Korea, and RNG already playing their second round of matches. They looked pretty solid in their first round. Lang X has looked good. Xiaowal, again, I'm going to keep saying it for a couple of weeks because no one's going to know who Lang X is, but he did make a name change. They were going against LGD in their matchup today, and you know Kramer is the stud on that squad, but I've heard that Uzi is also not a bad player, but the standout here in this play is Karsa.
Oof. Karsa really did his job in this matchup. You gotta say, if you're looking at anybody in this series that was just doing work here, it's Karsa. Karsa was an absolute beast this entire series. Gotta get the MVP. And hey, that's saying a lot here actually, because RNG this entire series against LGD overall played relatively solid. You're looking at some strong performances from Uzi in the bottom side, and as well, even in the mid lane, Xiaohu, getting really strong performances off. And hey, I gotta say, maybe it's the return of those glasses that is really doing it for Xiaohu, starting to put up some of those, performances that we remember from 2 or 3 years ago.
Yeah, the MVP form, it's just the nostalgia of returning back to those glasses. Yeah, RNG won game 1. Some great Kai'Sa ultis from Uzi, which we've seen ever since that champion was released. He's one of the best in the world on that champion. And game 2, it looked like it was going to be more of the same. You had Xiaohu popping off on that Silas. It looked like, all right, clean sweep for RNG. But then they overextend on one team fight. Kramer kind of cleans up on the Sivir. They lose a couple members, and they actually end up throwing game 2.
Yeah, this is something that can obviously happen sometimes here in the LPL. We do tend to see sometimes a game slip away from a team more often than not. But even in this
to everyone, even IG.
Yeah, exactly. It didn't even matter though here because hey, RNG says, yeah, we just want to get some more practice here. Bring us to a game 3, please.
Yeah, they want that extra game. It's not quite sandbagging because we're only week 2 here. But Kramer, yeah, grabs the triple kill and locks up this game. Even for the majority of that game, there was still a lot of positives, and RNG looked pretty solid in that one, so shouldn't be too upset, especially with the follow-up performance in Game 3. Again, it's Karsa on the Rek'Sai, and man, no MLXG. Oh, Karsa's going to be tilted, and then you're not going to be able to get back from his mental. Look at that Baron!
Oh, yes, please. That's
so
what I'm talking about.
But that was almost disaster because really they just got the Baron before. If they all TP'd out and the Baron has 50 health left and LGD hits it, well, maybe we're looking at a different game, but it wasn't the case. Clean Baron for them, a clean fight afterwards. Game 3 was a stomp.
Oh, it was a complete stomp in the favor of RNG, and especially, again, the man behind it all was absolutely Karsa. He had an insane game this entire series. Karsa really was the standout performer through games 1, 2, and 3, all the way through. This was the Karsa show today for RNG.
And you saw the Yuumi dying at the end of there.
Feels good.
That's just another loss for the cat champ, even though she's pretty much perma-banned. She's still very annoying, very oppressive, but she goes down in game 3. RNG moved to 2-0, and Xiaohu continues to play like it's 2016 or 2017, something we haven't seen in a while. And Lang X has fit brilliantly into this lineup. This looks like 2018 RNG right now.
Yeah, and that's the really positive thing here is when you're talking about Lang X's performance and what he's been able to kind of provide. Stopgap here in the top side for RNG has absolutely been brilliant. This is what they needed to have that stability around the map, and now they're starting to be able to play better as a team together. Keep building that synergy. I'm excited for RNG this summer split.
Still only 2 weeks in, but if they keep playing like this, they're going to rack up a lot of wins in summer. The other LPL matchup was OMG versus World Elite, which doesn't scream exciting matchup, but you got to check out this 1v1. OMG's top laner Curse versus Post on WE, Poppy versus Irelia, and this was an absolutely insane 1v1. First, I mean, the way it starts, you're like, okay, I guess they're just gonna scrap. You got the flash first on the Poppy ulti to survive, but then Poppy still has flash, so he decides, you know what, I'm gonna flash the Irelia stun, but then he realizes, I'm Poppy. I don't do anything.
I don't have anything else after here.
And you're Irelia. And then another game with Curse again, he completely destroyed this matchup. He got both MVPs for OMG, that's right. They took down World Elite here. By the way, Crystal, and they've got Hootie coming in from Snake before in their new bot lane. OMG, maybe they'll be decent. It's been so many years.
I was gonna say, it's been a very long time since we have seen OMG be decent. It's been longer since we've seen WE here really put in, again, this type of performance that we want to be seeing from them. Again, we had WE some point in the spring split, even pushing into the top 10 of the world rankings. They haven't been able to find that form or even close to that form relatively recently. But hey, OMG, they look pretty solid as a whole in this game. Yes, against a WE team that we are losing more faith in as days go by, but good performance from OMG. And man, would that be a blast from the past if they got here again into some playoff contention.
Yeah, 2 MVPs for Curse in that top lane. Icon, the guy who's been on there for a long time, also had a solid performance on the old mid lane Renekton, which is
classic.
Just an absolute classic here in Season 9. There's a lot of classics. Camille mid, Renekton mid, anything you used to play top, run it in the mid lane, and it's fun.
Hey, it's a spicy time now in League of Legends. It just means that we're gearing up for some more Camille nerfs in the mid lane, and eventually she's going to make her way down onto being a support or a bot laner, of course. That's how the rotation works now.
She has been played in support sometimes, and that is a crazy flex now that you probably could throw there.